Hey everybody, it's Jason. Welcome back to This Show is a JK. Let's listen for a moment. That's right, Keith is not along for this Tuesday audio-only spectacular because he is in theater rehearsal and he will join us again for the Saturday live show. But we got I got a good show for you lined up tonight. Lots to talk about, lots to keep your ears entertained as we wheel through the next hour or so talking about things and stuff and doing the whole time out of mind dance to Steely Dan's changing silver to gold and water to wine and all that other stuff. Anyway, we are glad to have you along. Thank you so much. Don't forget, as always, we remind you to subscribe on iTunes, subscribe to Spotify, or listen on one of the other channels that we offer to include iHeartRadio, radio.com, Amazon Music, and on and on and on. It's very easily findable. You'll find us on Facebook at facebook.com/RealJKPodcast. And you can catch us on Instagram, I think, still, but mostly we hide out on the Facebook page. We are still doing 2 shows a week. We do the Tuesday audio-only show, which releases right around 4 p.m. on Tuesdays. And then we are still looking for the best time spot for the Sunday live show. And we don't know when that's happening. We literally stare at each other every day, and I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. And we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So, again, lots to talk about. There have the COVID changes continue to happen here in Germany. They haven't implemented anything over the top yet, but you can see on the horizon that things are starting to change a little bit. That the second wave, as it were, is coming through, and I'm sure if Keith were here, he'd be a little more vehement about this. But as always, it's the reminder to wear your mask and do what you can to abate spreading the virus. It's a respiratory disease. If you're breathing out that mist and steam from your mouth, someone else could suck it up into their lungs, and that's how they can catch it. The mask helps abate some of that mist and steam and keep us all safe. So what we would suggest is wearing your mask, as everyone else suggests, right? And just doing your part to help out. But that said, it seems like Germany and other countries have gone into much deeper protective measures. The mask encouragement isn't any more of a, hey, we wish you'd do it. It's gone to a real, no kidding, put your fucking mask on or face a $1,500 fine. That would be great if you could do more of that in places where you know the disease is spreading in the United States, wouldn't it? And that doesn't seem to be the hammer that's had for some communities in the United States where some aren't following that rule and choosing to say, freedom or I can't breathe, or, just, okay, here's a $2,000 fine. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer to put this cloth mask on for 5 minutes while you're walking around Costco? I just don't think there's a real bad choice for either. A bad choice to wear the mask. But this is an agenda item. Everything's agenda-driven anymore. Anything. This especially, it falls into some agenda. Worst time to be in the middle of a pandemic is in an election year, right? I guess. So, in any case, the screws are tightening a little here. As I look outside, the skies are graying up a little bit. Looks like it's going to rain a little bit later. That'll be nice. In any case, yes, we are still under the COVID guise, but to be fair, not much has changed lately. I haven't really taken a look at the latest numbers. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We were looking at some latest numbers over the weekend in deciding where to travel for Labor Day, Denise and I, and we were looking, I forget at which one of the sites, but it showed that the numbers were trending much farther up. And in fact, one of the orders that was issued this weekend was that in order to go to places that we were going to fairly frequently, including France and Netherlands, you have to have somebody's approval. As a Department of the Army civilian, which I am, got to have that approval. So we have amended our vacation for the weekend, and we're probably going to go see our friends, the Lavardis, which is always a good treat, having them back in Germany, and we'll probably go see them. Speaking of the weekend, this is really, actually, I'm all for this. This weekend in Augusta, Georgia, my former home, will be the Augusta Toy and Comic Show. That's September 5th and 6th. Now, my friend Ed Schumacher runs this, and he's done absolutely everything that he can do, I think, to ensure a safe con. It's going to be one of the few cons that will happen, but based on, I know Ed, he's a friend, I followed his trials and travails of sort of how they're working with the hotel to keep everything spaced out, to keep certain number of people in the room, to ensure people wear masks, to ensure there's hand sanitizer everywhere, the whole thing. I think this is going to be a really well-run con. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. If you're in that region, go down, spend a bit of money. If you have to, wait your turn to go in, because I've got a lot of friends who will be there as well. Larry Hama will be there. He's a veteran. He's a G.I. Joe. I think this is also part of Joe Fest. Lex Luger is going to be there. Sergeant Slaughter will be there. And then a number of luminaries from the comics world. I think a few other celebrities will be there. A few of us from the CSRA Artists Guild will be there. My friend Travis will be there. My friend Randy Bishop will be there. So some good local support to pick you up there. A good get-out-of-the-house moment. So if you're in that area, this was a great show anytime that Ed has done it. Unfortunately, I had to bow out last time because I was either TDY. No, I had my knee surgery. That's what it was, I think. No, I don't remember. It was something like that, though, but I'm pretty sure it was knee surgery, and I just couldn't go because it was like that week, and I just couldn't be on my knee that week. So sorry I missed it, Ed, and I hope it all goes very well. I hope you do a killing, and it sort of brings a little bit of energy and hope back to those folks who are comic book geeks and friends like I am, who want to be just out and about and doing what we usually do, because that's been so curtailed since this whole thing started, just sort of getting back into the routine. My wife and I were just talking about school and how the changes that they're still on at my daughter's school where she teaches. And there are, there are changes, right? There's a virtual schooling to that, and there's a live schooling to that. And they're all still getting used to it. They're all still figuring it out. And, working under this change. So when will we get back to the normal of what we knew? Who knows? Interesting note I saw today. It was a meme, but it was funny. It said, if you think about it, there are no more snow days from kids. There are just Zoom days. So now kids will have to go to school every day, but I don't think that's the case. I think there will still be plenty of snow days and other kinds of days when teachers and students can't access those kinds of things. And teaching is done in the classroom. Teachers work with children one-on-one to help them learn. And I'm not saying that virtual schooling it doesn't work, but I am saying that I've seen what happens when teachers work with kids and what can happen one-on-one. And schools matter, and the right schools and well-funded schools and all of that. So I'm a big believer in all of that. So you know that we did part one of our bracket last week, which was fantastic guitar riffs and everything else, which he left out China Grove and a couple of others. But we're in the grade 8 of that, so we want you to join us on Sunday, and we believe that will be at 8 o'clock European time, so that'll be 2 p.m. On the East Coast, 1 p.m. Central for PJ and other folks, and that'll, of course, be 8 a.m. for Daniel Nathaniel to come in and watch how the rest of this thing washes out. Daniel Nathaniel's already washed out of that bracket. So, but I think it's the coin flips. It's the coin flips that bring that air of randomness to it and just totally hose the thing. So in any case, I think PJ's up there, and as is Matt. Matt's still in the running for that, and I haven't looked at it and I've thought about it, so my mind is still fairly clear. But don't forget that, and then in the week that follows for the live show, we will do a great bracket on best football team nicknames. Not for the team, but for like their offense and defensive squads. So like Purple People Eaters, Greatest Show on Turf, and that sort of thing. You can already go ahead and make predictions on that if you want to. Just go to Challonge, CHALLONGE.com/NFL nicknames, I believe is what it's called. You can also find it on the Facebook page. It's pinned. And we want to get as many predictions in for this one as good because it's also on kickoff weekend. So a lot happening with the NFL. Speaking of that, NFL is 2 weeks away. And that's strange to me because it's one of those things that I didn't think would start. But they're definitely moving forward. And I think they're seeing the success that the other leagues are having, and they're just plowing forward. I think the difference will be with the closeness of the players and the amount of saliva and exhaling mist and moisture that they exchange. They do it on a basketball court too, But I suppose it'll be sort of the same as the basketball players in that who will they allow in the bubble and out of the bubble and so on and so forth. So it could be a pretty interesting NFL season. I get the Raiders updates all the time. This is a pretty exciting time for the Raiders. They're kind of going through their personnel. As always, teams are making their cuts. My fantasy football league will draft this weekend, actually, I think, while I'm on a bit of a hiatus out and about. So that should be fun. And so I still love NFL football. It's still number one sport for me. Baseball a very close second, and I enjoy watching it. I enjoy being in my fantasy league again, and so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to cheering for the Raiders this year and seeing and enjoying it. There's a ritual here for Americans who are stationed here or work here. The game started at about 7 p.m. The pre-show ends, and then they start at 7. The first game runs up till 10. Then you have to make that decision of, do I want to be tired at work or do I want to go to sleep and not do it? That's when you say, okay, I'm going to stay up for the 10 o'clock game, which usually runs till about 1. And then if you're a real warrior, like some folks I know, like my boss and Keith, I imagine, if there's like a Cowboys game that's the 8:30 NBC game East Coast, that translates into 2:30 European time AM, they'll stay up for that too, and then just schedule leave so they can come in late. So I haven't done that shift yet. I'll do the 7 to 10, and then really soak that in. I really enjoy that, but I'm pretty sure even if it's the Raiders, I'll catch that in the morning. I mean, that's because AFN will rerun the games, so that's good. It'll be interesting to see how they manage the crowds or not crowds. The not crowds, I guess, is a better way to say that. And how they present the entertainment for the game itself. Soccer has been doing a pretty good job of interjecting the chants and the music and everything else without any fans in the stand from the bits and pieces I've been able to watch. I have a funny soccer story in a moment. So it'll be interesting to see how the NFL handles its sort of entertainment portion while the game is going on. I know that some teams are talking about letting in like 20% capacity, and I think we mentioned this on last week's show. But hey, if it's every sixth seat, I don't have any issue with that. That's 1.5 meters, 2 meters, 1.5 yards. Plenty of distance. Should be fine to be able to do what you want to do and root for your team. The question I have is, okay, do those seats go to season ticket holders, and they're not going to be able to get all the season ticket holders in, so does it just go to select season ticket holders? It's an interesting conundrum, because if I was a season ticket holder and they said, no, we're just going to sell tickets, I'd probably be thinking about litigation, because NFL tickets are fucking expensive to include the PSL and the ticket and everything else. So, I mean, you would need to include me in the ceremony. That's just the finality of that. When I was gone last weekend, we were in France, and in France, they have great TV programming, but my French is not so great. So we're getting ready to hit the sack, and I'm scrolling through and sort of watching what's on, clicking through, and the first thing I see is a sort of not a tribute, but more of like a public relations guide on Monaco Grand Prix. And I'm a big Formula One nut. Monaco Grand Prix has been my favorite race of all of those since the beginning. I played Formula One games. I really like it a lot. And this special is focusing on kind of the grandeur of the race and the drivers and the history. And it's got Jackie Stewart, and it's got Graham Hill, and all these other sort of dignitaries Niki Lauda coming across the screen. It's really good. So then anyway, I'm just sort of watching it, blah, 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 that I don't understand, unfortunately. And then they say there's a soccer match coming on right after that. I'm like, cool, I'll watch that. I hadn't seen any sports for a while. And I figure I'll take them this match, and it'll just be fun to watch them kind of go back and forth, see how they sort of do the entertainment portion of the game and so on and so forth. So click on it. And just as it's about to begin, boom, channel goes blank. And I'm like, oh, that's bad timing. Maybe there's a bad a big cloud over the satellite. So in the States, if you're watching cable and a game suddenly goes off, it probably means that whatever cable channel you're on, TNT, ESPN, whatever, maybe the local channel is carrying that game, right? Because it's a local broadcast or something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go down to the lower tier cable channels, and I'll see if I can find the game on one of those. And sure enough, I clicked around, and boom, there it was. I'm like, great. And it wasn't local either, but it was like there's a city called Strasbourg, and then on the coast, it's the town of Nice. So those are the two teams that were playing. I was like, whatever. I just want to take in some sports. This will be great. So I get about a minute in, settled in, looking to watch it. Boom, goes away. And I'm like, what? And it turns out the hotel that we were staying at apparently doesn't pay for the sports package. So much for watching that. So I'm fumbling around, and then there's an episode of Columbo that's on. Now, Columbo is important to me because when I was recovering from an illness back in 96, 97, pretty bad illness, I was on some drugs, and I had to stay home for a couple weeks and basically recover. That was my job, was to lay on a couch and recover. And one of the things that got me through, aside from a fantastic boss and great teammates who worked with me at the time, was that A&E showed like 2 episodes of Columbo 4 days a week. So I know all the Columbos. I know all of them, except for some of the newer ones, which I didn't really care for. But the early 70s, mid-70s Columbos, I know those. The William Shatner one, the Janet Leigh one, which is the one that was on, and the guy from the Partridge Family, the father of the Partridges, all those, I know all of them. So anyway, it's on, and I remember that usually in France, if you click the audio setting on the TV, it gives you like a French audio channel and then perhaps an English audio channel. It did, boom, got to be able to watch some of the Columbo in English, so it was a good respite. I was bummed about the soccer game, but I got to watch Columbo, so that's not a bad deal. You are listening to This Show is a JK with Jason Tudor and silence because he is at his rehearsal tonight. We will catch up with him on the Saturday show. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. Thank you very much. Don't forget we do a bracket on Saturdays, usually about 12 deep, in which Keith and I argue about things and then come to a winner. If you are the person who wins our bracket by reason of or by reach or what am I thinking of? Wow, it must be late and I'm tired. But that's it. By virtue of making the predictions correctly on the website that we use, we will send you a T-shirt. We have fixed the T-shirt problem. We have sent the first shirt to Daniel Nathaniel. The second shirt will go out next week, and then the other shirts will follow. But when Daniel gets his shirt, I'm going to make him shoot a photo with it, and then we'll show you that. But you will get a cool T-shirt, actually. I actually ended up redesigning the shirt with a bracket on it that says, I won the bracket, and it's got our show logo on it. I think it's pretty cool. We've also got coffee mugs and actual show shirts for sale, and we'll post those linked to the Facebook. We would appreciate any and all support you could provide us as we continue to run this little ramshackle podcast about COVID and our lives and as we move forward. So some of you are aware that I've been doing 3D printing, and one of the so I have 2 3D printers. One of them uses plastic to print, which I've been having really good success with. In fact, I printed something today I'm really, really happy with, or last night rather. And I posted it's on my personal page, the Jason Tudor author page. And then I also have what's called a resin printer, which uses a kind of, uses resin, and then it uses UV light to cure the resin, and then it makes really beautiful detail models. I specifically got that printer at the recommendation of my friend Tom, who told me the detail on it is much more fine than on the plastic printer, which he was right. And I managed to get probably 8 or 9 good prints out of it, and now it has shit the bed. And I'm really bummed about that because that was the one that was really my go-to for the little detailed miniatures from the comic book that I make, which I sort of hyped, and I'll give you a little plug on that in a minute. But I'm actually looking at one of them now. And the detail is incredible, and the stuff that I had sculpted and drawn up and made was looking really, really good. I had also got some miniatures from another website, which I'm not going to advertise here since they don't pay us, but they are very good, and the process to actually make the miniatures is very simple. So I printed those out, and they look fantastic. And then it stopped printing very well like 2 days ago, and I just figured out what's wrong with it. I got to get some grease, essentially, for one of the screws. It's really important, and then hopefully that should cure the problem. But right now my resin printer's crapped out. I'm kind of bummed about that because I really wanted to do some things this week. I had some good plans, but the miniature I printed out last night looks fantastic. So I have hyped on the show before that I produce a comic book. I would love for you to go buy all 3 copies if you want. You can go to my website directly, jasontudor.com. You can pick one of the vendors from there, either that be Comixology, that might be Indie Planet, that might be directly from our publisher, Crazy Monkey Inc., and it might be from our friends at Spinwiz Comics. Any one of those, you can get the print or the e-version of that for a reasonable price. I think they're $5. The e-version is like $1.99. If you want an autographed copy, just send me a note, and they're $8.99. And if you want a copy with a miniature, let me know that, and we'll figure out the price for that. So I'm working on a miniature opportunity with the comics. Issue 4 is going very well, although I'm a little stagnant on the art right now. But Mike Montalvo, who is my fantastic colorist, he's the guy who colors it for me. He is in Canada, and he has been having some minor issues, but nothing he hasn't overcome. But he's also working on a couple of other comics right now. So he has been busy doing stuff, but he finished the first page. It looks brilliant. I put the letters on it. It feels brilliant. I love the way the page looks. It's exciting. And so we're moving forward. This issue is probably going to be 48 pages long. There's a lot of things to wrap up. There's a lot of things to get done. And 48 pages is going to put a nice bow on the entire graphic novel of this first chapter of her journey. So I've actually got 6 pages drawn, but some of the pages have to be re-inked. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. They have to be at a little higher resolution. I do it all digitally. And then those will be sent off to Mike, and then we'll be underway. But still 42 more pages to go. Some of it's unscripted too. But we're moving along, and my goal is to actually have it all done, not colored, but my part of it inked and story done and lettered and all that by Christmas. So I'm excited as I try to wrap up some other things so I can solely focus on that. That's what I'm going to be doing. But anyway, jasontutor.com is my website if you want to go to that and get the comics, all 3. They're pretty reasonably priced. Or just send me a note specifically saying, hey, I don't have the comics. Would you mind autographing and sending them to me? I'm actually packing a bunch of boxes right now. I owe some people some copies. And you can also get my book, which is 7 from the System, which is linked to the comics. It's stories based in the comic book universe. That's available on Amazon, $6.99 print, $4.99 electronic. Again, they're linked. They're both set in the same universe, but they're not science fiction stories. They're cooking stories and love stories and gambling stories and things I think you would like. So Keith is growing a beard. I thought that was noteworthy to say because he's trying very hard. And it's very chia pet right now. Excuse me while I take a quick drink. It's very chia pet right now. It's sort of coming in like the last beard he'll ever grow. So it's not really lumberjacky. It's more, I don't know, like you're trying to grow grass in your front yard and you see those first sprouts come out of the ground and you're like, I hope it doesn't rain too hard. I hope it does not sun too hard. You're hoping it sort of comes alive. Anyway, he's doing it for the show, and he needs these mutton chops. And Matt Davis, our great friend, is like, we do have makeup and costume, don't, but he's trying. I just see him puffing his face out and being like, with your thumb in your mouth, blowing your cheeks, like, trying to blow the hair out, but maybe not. Anyway, he's working on a beard. The show sounds an amazing amount of fun. He's been going over a few lines with me every now and then, and he's going to be great in it. So it'll be a lot of fun to see him once the rehearsals pay off. I think it's going to be November, I think he said, or October, November. Either way, Dean and I are both looking forward to seeing him in the show. Should be a lot of fun, and kudos to him for going out for it. He had been a little reticent, before, but I think now that he's got his both feet in, he's seeing that he can, work and do this, and it's really working out for him. In the, I should have did this with the NFL thing, but in the area of laughable things that have happened, apparently the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins, were investigating a sexual harassment complaint. So the Washington football team had a complaint from an employee about sexual harassment, and they were investigating it. I'm trying to think of what arm of the Washington Redskins would be qualified to carry out a sexual harassment investigation, but I don't even want to go into that. Anyway, the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins, today the NFL has taken over that investigation. Now, as laughable as it is that the Redskins, formerly known as, were doing this, it's even more laughable that the NFL is doing it. The NFL has given us such great investigations as Belichick Videogate and Brady Deflategate and some other real stunners that have amounted to just a hill of shit. So it's funny to me that that was even a headline today, like the media company expected big things to happen because the NFL, and really in the release, Daniel Snyder said, we have passed this on to the NFL because it's the right thing to do, which tells me that he's not afraid of anything, and he's got 71 lawyers standing in front of him, and this poor person who has alleged sexual harassment, guilty or innocent, doesn't stand a chance one way or the other because she's going to get smothered between the NFL's corporate arm and the Redskins' corporate arm. It's probably just going to smother her voice entirely. So, we'll see the 30 for 30 in the year 2060 to whatever that amounts to. But the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins, has been a hot mess for as long as Daniel Snyder's been the owner, I think. So there's something to be said for that, which is kind of sad because the football team formerly known as the Redskins, they've done Joe Gibbs and some of the others who've won Super Bowls there. They've had great teams, and they're the team that I most see as the rival to Keith and Stefan's Dallas Cowboys, right? The team formerly known as Redskins and the Cowboys. And that to me is a classic football rival. That team has just been a joke. I remember that year that they tried to squeeze together like Bruce Smith, Deion Sanders, and like several other huge superstars, and they ended up going like 5-11 or 6-10 or something like that. It was pretty awful. So that is what you have when you try to cram too much. I mean, it's like the Karl Malone Lakers. It was Karl Malone, Gary Payton, just awful. Really, I mean, just awful. There's a new season of The Boys that is starting. I haven't watched the first season, but the second season does have me intrigued. If you watch that, let us know on the Facebook page if that's your show. Probably, I see Matt watching that. I don't know if he has or hasn't, though, but maybe he has. And so I will wrap this up since we don't have a quiz tonight because I don't have anybody to quiz. I suppose I could ask myself, hey, stupid, how long is your hair? 4 inches. I don't really have a quiz for myself. So, but the last thing I'll close on is something interesting. Jackie Chan apparently has a mansion in Beijing, and he's lived there for like 13 years. And like a day ago, the Chinese government came and booted him and his family out of the house for tax evasion purposes. But apparently the deeper story is that he has been on the side of a certain faction of politics that doesn't agree with the Chinese Communist Party or something like that. So they essentially just came in and said, we're taking your house, hit the road. And that's what happened. And so it's a very interesting sort of thing that's happened. As beloved as we would think Jackie Chan would be, and all the things he's done in terms of entertainment and cinema in that country, and if they value that sort of thing as Americans and French and others do, value their entertainment, value that sort of the thing that it brings to society, it's a terrible thing to do. I guess he got the mansion because he did some work for a certain real estate owner, and in return the real estate owner gave him some sort of credits that in turn paid for the mansion. Again, this was like 12 or 13 years ago, and then the last couple of days, I guess the party decided, no, that's not going to work, and booted him out. So the thing about Jackie Chan, if you don't know, is that he's done all of his own stunts, and he gets hurt, and now he's kind of old and broken, and all the years of doing his own stunts have started to really catch up with him, as far as I know, and he's had a hard time with it. And so, it's sad news. I've enjoyed most of the films I've seen him in. Like I said, I haven't seen him in anything in a while, but his mansion getting torn down, that's no good. All right, that's going to about do it for this Tuesday audio-only version of the show, which, if I'm looking at the clock right, gets you out of here in about a half hour. That's not a bad deal. But as we close out, I will remind you again of a few things. First, it's getting late. Subscribe on iTunes. Listen on Spotify. Add us to some playlists. Also, review and star the podcast on iTunes. That would really help the algorithm and move us up even as a little fish into a little bigger fish. That always helps out. And don't forget to catch the live video shows. Those are Saturdays. Right now we're projecting 8 p.m. European, 2 p.m. Central. That's not a firm time, but for this week, that's what we're projecting. Our promise is to get you a firm time by the time NFL kicks off, so that'll be that next weekend. And we want to thank you for all the warm, nice comments we've had on the live shows and how they've helped. And we really love it, too, because we get to interact with so many of you directly. We talked about recording a video show, but it's not the same thing. We want to be able to interact with you. And one of the things I've talked about is to get people to call in. And we can do that. We just haven't run the technical solution yet to do it and make sure it works. So, but we love doing the show from the recliners, hanging out and talking smack about each other and talking to you. So please keep that in mind as we go forward. So 2 shows, Tuesday, Saturday. Don't forget those. The brackets are on Saturdays. If you fill out the predictions correctly, you win a shirt. And the quiz is on Tuesdays. It's called the 9 questions, usually with a 10th bonus question, because some people get antsy when it's not rounded up like that. I don't remember what this quiz was going to be about. I don't think we had decided on a topic yet, but no big deal. We will catch that up the next time we do a Tuesday audio-only live fiesta. I want to thank you for joining us. We care about your listenership very much. Don't forget to tune us in next time, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.